Everyone, welcome back to Core. This is Core, episode 263, and it's Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. I'm Scott Johnson with Bo Schwartz and John Jagger, and we're back at it, everybody. Thanks for being here. We hope you had a good gaming week, and I really shouldn't swing this X-Acto blade around. This is a bad idea. I'm going to put that down over here, just right over here.
Yep, you didn't have a good gaming week, I'll cut you.
Yeah, I'll cut you, fool. Sorry,
That's
Bo.
not for swinging.
Yeah, it's not, is it? My mom, you're like my mom, but you're right. And she was also right when I was doing that.
Okay.
I don't know where that's
I was
going.
gonna ask, but then you landed.
Hey, look at this. Real quick, this is a little self-serving, so you'll forgive me, I hope. But everyone knows I'm working on a Kickstarter for my my card game called Rock Runners Incorporated. I've got a deck right here. I'm just sort of fiddling with it here, sort of pre-show. It's got all the cards and the cool stuff in it. Just got in a sample, although I got to make a tweak to it, but I got in a sample of the playmat today. So this thing got unlocked, and it's like a neoprene, you know, like a mouse mat kind of. Yeah,
like a magic pad.
Yeah, like a
magic pad.
Yeah, like a magic pad. It's so absorbent.
A Magic the Gathering playmat.
Like a Magic the Gathering MTG playmat, and it's got a place for your draw deck, your play pile, and these space credits, which determine the winner. One thing you might say about it, in the middle there, you might go, "Ooh, why is it all dirty and like you rub a bunch of dirt in the middle?" No, I didn't. This is
you ate 5 guys on it.
This is what you learn. Well, this is what you learn when you do your own artwork. Sometimes you send in a thing, they're like, "Great, we'll send you a proof or a sample," and you think it looks great, but when you get it, I was trying to make this like subtle sort of dust effect, like that's painted on the original to make it look like a screen. It's all scuffed up and stuff. The end result is it just makes this thing look used. So I got to fix that. But other than that, it's awesome. It's rubber. I'm putting it over here by my other rubber things. Boink. All these cards are ready to rock. I'm so excited I can barely stand myself. So anyway, if you want,
coming, so I'm super stoked for you.
Thank you. You want details? Head on over to Kickstarter and search for Rock Runners, or you can find it at frogpants.com/rockrunners. Either way, you're golden. So go
buy it, everyone, and rejoice.
Do it. All right, let's get into it today. We have a number of topics to discuss. First and foremost, as Blizzard fans, we shall probably do this up front, and it'll get talked about again on the instance tomorrow, but that's all right. Some of you are going to get a double dose on this, but Jeff Kaplan, 19-year veteran of Blizzard Entertainment, famously hired because he was a bit of a forum troll and also made maps for EverQuest. And that's what got him hired. I don't know if you guys knew that, but that was his.
I did. Yeah.
You did? Okay.
I always pointed to him when people are like, "You complain about WoW too much." I was like, "Look, the people who make WoW complained about EverQuest too much. That's how he got the job."
That's right. I guess he impressed.
That's how innovation happens.
They were like incognito executives that were playing EverQuest. He happened to be part of whatever guild and stuff they were all in. And I guess he was a kind of a pain on the outside in terms of like trolly sort of forumy stuff. But it does make me think that in that era of Blizzard, yes, those may seem like strange happenstances, but those kinds of things could get you hired. These days, I don't think that happens today. Nobody hires some a-hole on Reddit to come. You may hire some content curator, somebody who really likes StarCraft or really is into Warcraft, and you like enough what they do that you bring them on and put them on the esports team, or maybe even in development, depending on what's going on. But it's pretty rare that you're going to pull a guy like that out of the pile. But it's a good thing he did. He turned out to be one of the most prolific creators at the company. 99% of you who have played World of Warcraft have played a number of quests that he designed. He did a ton of quest development early on in the vanilla days and forward, and he headed up the game. He was in charge, game director for what, two years of that, which is about the time you saw him disappear, grow a beard, and move into a cave and work on Titan for like 3 years without anyone knowing it. So that was going on. And then most people's familiarity with Jeff happened, or most of their familiarity came with him taking what was left of Titan, scrambling together an idea, and then going to an executive meeting with what's their names? Everyone hates them. Activision. and said,
"Oh, right.
Here's what we did. We his quote's something like, we had a massive fail with Titan. Titan is like a legit fail. But here's what we think we can do, and a lot of it can come out of Titan, some of these ideas and characters and some of the stuff we have, but we want to make a shooter." And what's fascinating about that is, imagine going to the bosses of Activision, the people who run the most popular yearly franchise in Call of Duty, sitting down with them and saying, yeah, that giant next-gen MMO, $150 million, gone. Pfft, we're done. But what if we made a shooter? Telling that to those guys, king of shooters in PC and console gaming, that you're going to make a shooter must have been a meeting, dude. That must have been a freaking weird meeting. And they went for
hard sell for Blizzard.
It.
Not like Blizzard's known for ever doing that before, right?
No.
Let's do something we don't normally do.
Right. They'd never done one as far as I'm aware. And as a result, because they took the chance and went for it, Overwatch was by every measure an enormous smashing success. You could say it's waning a bit now, and we've got a sequel that's who knows how that's going. But in its heyday, that thing made more money than they knew what to do with, and it easily made up for the Titan loss. So he's a big deal. He's a big deal at Blizzard, and he sat in front of a fireplace for a long time. That was pretty cool. And, at BlizzCon, when he'd get out on stage, he was maybe one of the more entertaining front-facing personalities that were left at Blizzard after Metzen and some others had left. He was kind of your guy on stage you look forward to. And now you're not going to get it. He's done. He's out. We don't know where he's going. He's got a lot of money, so he could retire. Or he's only 48, so he could probably just go, all right, I'm going to turn around and make my own game. Or I'm going to go work for Dreamhaven. Or I'm going to... I don't think he goes to Bonfire because, well, I know some things I'm not supposed to know. But anyway, the point is, I shouldn't have said any of that. I'm going to bleep this out later. He is going to go do whatever he's going to do. And, of course, the internet explodes and says, oh, my gosh, another great pillar of Blizzard is leaving. Now I'm sure that it's all a giant nightmare at Blizzard, and it's a hollow shell of its once greatness or whatever. Do we agree with those sentiments? John, we'll start with you. How do you feel about Kaplan leaving?
I mean, I have never worked in a job for 19 years straight. I don't imagine that I ever will. That doesn't seem like the amount of time that I would ever dedicate to something unless I really loved it. And so it's very easy to go, oh man, he's leaving into days. But how many of you out there have worked in the same job essentially for that long? I mean, it is a decent time to get out. Now, that said, is Blizzard a different company than what it was? Yeah. I think we've heard enough insider reports. I think we've seen the writing on the wall for a lot of that with how projects have been handled, certainly with, what we experienced as a Heroes of the Storm show. And, that company has evolved. Do I think it's all, awful and everybody there is suffering and crying for help and, it's a shell of the former company that it was? No, it's probably not quite that far, but I think its focus and its standards and maybe the driving factor behind some things is different than what it was. And I think him leaving is probably him just not getting what he wants out of that anymore. Whether that is because the company has evolved or whether that's he as a person has evolved, because he could very easily just go, you know what? I've done a good job. I'm working on the expansion pack to Overwatch. Ready to do something different.
The expansion pack, nice shade. That's a good, nice, stealthy shade you threw there. Bo, I think John's probably not wrong about most of that. We never do talk about the new blood or the new guard because we don't know them. We don't know their names. We don't know what their talents are yet. For all we know, the next generation of Blizzard creators are far and beyond have more potential than all these old guys that are moving away. But what's your take? Do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see those kinds of guys anymore at Blizzard. To be perfectly honest with you, I think that generation has a certain, I don't mean this in a bad way, but an entitlement to their struggle and the things they created and an identity outside of the company that they likely have had conversations about and kind of don't care. I think Kaplan's the way Kaplan has been in the public sphere because he's not nervous about losing his job or pleasing shareholders. And, you know, like, I think there's a certain level of confidence you have to kind of do things like that people who hedge their bets are not. And, you know, it's just kind of a trend. Like the Mike Morheims are gone, Ben Brode is gone, Chris Metzen's gone. Even Josh Mosquera, I would say, like, you know, they're these sort of outspoken champions for their games that people connect with. You know, if someone in the chat was even like, I don't know, if Kaplan's not part of the game, I don't think I want to play it. And it's like, you know, Jeff in particular is known for saying it's a team effort, right? And so, like, there should be no reason why anybody should stop playing any of these games because they left, because it's a company, they make games, it's made up of lots of people, kind of, who cares?
Yeah.
But people do care. Metzen's releasing a book on Kickstarter. It's doing real well. Everyone's stoked about Dreamhaven. People are interested in Bonfire. You know, they're interested in what these luminaries are doing because it matters. And I think the thing that speaks volumes is that why doesn't anyone at Blizzard see that their, you know, superstars want to just branch out and do shit and be like, well, it's better if you just go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, there might be reasons for going, but they're all keeping busy with their own projects. So, like, Metzen's still being Metzen.
Yeah.
Morheim's still being Morheim.
Yeah.
They just need to leave. And we sort of, there's been a lot of marketing leading up to before their departure that was like, Blizzard's this kind of culture, Blizzard's this kind of thing. Then if they were so passionate about wanting to work there, why would they leave? Like, they had these really solid hype videos about how great it was to work at Blizzard. Why? That just speaks volumes to everyone involved. You can't look at that and not say, like, yeah, that place sucks right now. like, you know, like, whoever's in charge, shareholders, whatever, didn't do enough to even say, you know what, you want to do your own thing, Metzen? Let's branch off and do a book division, man. You know, like, let's talk. Mike Morheim, you want to get into esports? Let's do Blizzard Junior. Let's do Dreamhaven and keep it in house. And, like, that's not part of the DNA. The DNA is shareholders want to make money. They want Overwatch 2. They want more Hearthstone X packs. They want to keep rolling out WoW for as long as they can.
Right.
They're canceling awesome, innovative things. Like, I think the StarCraft shooter was not a cancellation that went over very well internally. Yeah. I don't know the details or why, but I just get the sense that, you know, Blizzard is known for canceling projects. I got the impression that seemed like not one that they were necessarily happy to part ways with. And, you know, all their chips are on Diablo 4, not some, you know, new and exciting franchise.
Right.
So I just kind of get this feeling that, like, the culture shifted, and that doesn't mean their games are going to be bad. It's just, they're going to take BlizzCon for granted, the fact that you're going to come and be into it. And the whole point that I've taken away from BlizzCon is that, like, the developers just want to jam with the people who play the game. And it was meant to be first and foremost about the community, which is why I made a really pissy Reddit post about why there's no heroes. Like, the explanations often in BlizzCon, the explanations like, well, it's not marketable. It's like, who cares? People are playing it. That's enough. That's reason enough. You have your reason. Right. People enjoy that game. Who cares what shareholders think? Who cares if it's good for the company or if you're selling products for it? It is a game in active service, and people celebrate and build communities around it. That's what BlizzCon is. So the fact that BlizzCon also is kind of moving away from that just makes me think that the pencil pushers and the bureaucrats have taken over the institution, and the free-wheeling personalities like Kaplan don't have enough. And I base that on the fact that two things. One, in the press release, Aaron, who's a nice guy, I'm sure, no comments against him.
Super nice guy, by the way.
His statement appears first in the press release, which, when I look at, like, departures of Dustin Browder and Alan DeBeery and even Mike Morheim, the person leaving usually gets the first word, and the person coming in gets to say something. And then Kaplan's was like, GG, y'all.
I'm out.
No punctuation or capitalization. Like, they literally copy pasted the email without doing any PR thing. I don't even know why they didn't spruce it up. You know, so I'm, you know, and people within the company, like, take sides when things like this happen. So I don't know if PR was like, yeah, let's just release it as is. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like really stark that they didn't make it. Well, you know, with like, they just literally copy pasted the thing in there. And I can't help but think that's like there's sour grapes somewhere in the grape pile.
It's easy to read it that way, and I don't actually know for sure. So maybe that's totally right. It's certainly
I
considered.
could be reading it's tinfoil hat, but I'm like, this doesn't fit the pattern.
Yeah,
at
it's
all
not
for
the
this
pattern, but it does make me think maybe it's part of a newer pattern, and the newer pattern being like, guys, instead of making such a big deal out of it, why don't we have the new leader of the team lead this and be the leader, so that we show the player base that Aaron's in charge, and that, you know, even though Jeff's leaving and it's a massive change, we've got it. We're good. We got the leadership. But what they don't understand is how that looks, and that looks for a company like Blizzard with what Blizzard is in the eyes of its players, it looks bad. It looks weird. It looks short and cut off and like it didn't go well or something. And I think
the right way to do this thing is like, hey, I'm Jeff, and I just want to move on to another project, so I'll be leaving Blizzard to pursue other interests. Maybe you'll hear about them, maybe you won't. I don't know. Like, and there's no real roadmap for this kind of thing. I don't know. I just feel like if you're leaving, you kind of should give some. I don't know. Maybe you don't. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a tough thing.
I think you really hit on something with this idea of like, it's one thing to be the person who built the ships that all these franchises sail on. It's another thing to be the person that's just maintaining course.
Yeah.
And I feel like right now Blizzard is a bunch of people that are now captaining the ships that were built by other people, and that's not to say they're going to do a bad job. You might have different opinions on that depending on how you feel, you know, things are going, but they're going to do the best job they can at helming it. But they have a different level of investment than the people who built these things from the ground up, and they have a different interest level. And at a certain point you get in this like, well, it's just about preservation and let's just keep going. Let's just keep it going.
Does feel like they're being very careful, right? Like way careful right now. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's why there are select people at Blizzard, and I would have said Jeff Kaplan is one of them, that it felt like they were the people that weren't afraid to shake it up. Like Bo said, like he knew what his contributions to that company were. He knew what he had built with that company. So forge ahead and do what you want to do. And I think there are a few people there that still do that. But I think you've got a lot of people there that are very like, oh, we've been put in charge of steering this WoW ship. Let's just not be the ones who sink it. You know, like let's just hold course. You guys want to do anything crazy? Nope. I just want to hold course, and let's not veer off of it. Let's not do anything nuts here, people.
Which is a bummer. Like, it's such a bummer, because I don't think you're wrong. I think you're actually 100% correct. And even if they don't fully acknowledge it or know it, there's a little bit of like, don't do anything crazy, or this house of cards is going to fall over, because we don't really have a ton in the chamber. And it's not the old days where we were still hungry for the big thing. We've got the big things, and now we just got to be careful to not disrupt the big things or whatever. I think that is ultimately really bad for them. And I think in the long run, it's just going to hurt them. It's just going to hurt them. If Blizzard can't continue to innovate in the way that they used to, and they're just holding tight to what's currently working, then there's no good end to that story. There has to be something else. And you could say, well, what about all those guys working on the internal teams on secret projects? Well, a couple of them got canceled, and tons of really smart people left after that. Like, I don't know that those internal incubators are working the way they planned. There's still a few people I'm really interested in there. Corey Stockton is still there. I think Chilton's still there. These are massively talented designers and game runners that could change my mind tomorrow with an announcement. But I don't know, dude. I think everything right now is banked on Diablo 4 as the future, the near future for Blizzard. And I don't know what Overwatch 2 looks like, but the Kaplan leaving bit is a little strange. And like I say, Aaron Keller, the guy who took over, I talked to him for almost an hour at a meet and greet once. And I don't know that I've talked to a guy that I liked more spending time with at Blizzard than him. I think he's super talented, really knows what he's doing. There's nothing wrong with him being in charge, and maybe he has been for the last 2 years. We just don't know if he's sort of been running the show anyway. But I worry that status quo is what everyone's trying to keep in check, and nobody's taking chances. Nobody's, everyone's afraid to say, well, I have an idea, and then go passion on it, you know? Like, it felt like Titan crashing around was the physical manifestation of that falling apart. And we didn't see it at the time, but I believe Titan failing for reasons that weren't. I know enough about that internal development to know that they weren't about the game, the gameplay, the vision, the talent, the art, any of that. It was nothing to do with that. In the end, it came down to, do we pull a trigger on this massive thing, and do we do it in the face of shareholders and all the money pressures? That wasn't there with WoW. With WoW, it was like, we're going to do this crazy-ass thing, everybody. Can you believe it? This was them going, we got to be careful, and is it going to cut under our own base? And that's why that game didn't happen. Blizzard could have polished it and gotten it right, but they didn't. And that's the first time where they didn't. They've canceled other projects, but this is the first time where they were like, no, we didn't cancel this because we couldn't find the fun. We canceled it because we couldn't find the money in the eyes of the people in the most expensive suits. And it bums me out because I don't know how you get out of that. Ultimately.
Well, it's a creative endeavor to make a game, so like you can't go to a shareholder meeting and you the game could fail. I mean, you can't anticipate what the thing's going to be. You're giving birth to it, like that's where that difficulty lies. And that's, I mean, we go back to, you remember the BlizzCon where Jeff was like, I think it's a sequel. Like we're doing like when they first announced Overwatch 2, I don't know if you remember, but Jeff didn't give it exactly a confident, like, yeah, this is what we're doing. Get behind it. He was like, it's a sequel thing. And it sort of jives up because I know the war. I've heard Grubby talk about this where he had some this is all hearsay, but the Warcraft Reforged thing, that they didn't know at that BlizzCon that the staff didn't know, the developers didn't know about the release date. It was news to them at the BlizzCon. Part of the, because that's much maligned release, the features didn't make it. Right. They got blindsided at their event too, and that just sort of smacks of like people making the money decisions, coming up with decisions about when things are going to happen, whereas the Blizzard philosophy is when it's done.
Yeah.
You don't hear when it's done so much these days with the company. We are kind of getting that from Diablo 4, but I get the sense that thing's got to come out. It has a sell-by date because all their chips appear to be on it from what I can tell right now.
Yeah, I don't think if that thing's any later than 2022, that would feel real weird to me because I just don't know what else they can do. Maybe they thought, I honestly don't know what they're thinking.
I think
everything big's in alpha and beta.
Yeah.
They're skating by on the Diablo 2 remaster, getting them by maybe this year, and then I would bet that it is a mandate that Diablo 4 comes out next year.
Yeah.
That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Because they seem to have we need something launched at least yearly. We're not going to do any more of this. You didn't put anything out this year, business. Like something's going to come out. And I feel like Warcraft 3 Reforged was a victim of that. I feel like, I think the Diablo 2 remaster actually looks really great, but obviously bringing in a whole other outside studio to help with it, that's a testament to how they want these things handled, and canceling projects and going, no, you're all working on Diablo 4 now. That's a testament to, no, get it done. Like that's the attitude that it seems to be coming out of the company. And that's why I said, I don't want to make it sound like nobody cares at Blizzard anymore, because I don't think that's true. I think there's a ton of talented people that care very much there.
Yep.
But I think the overall corporate mandate at the top has shifted, and it is a different environment and a different company.
Yeah. I think you said it really well. I think that's it. Yeah, that's basically it. And it's going to be interesting to see if they just become like in a post Diablo 4 release world. What is Blizzard? Is it just like I've been coming to like I want this to be clear on this show and those who may be listening to us when we talk about this. This isn't a bash Blizzard moment for us or any of that. I don't see that as any of this. It's just coming to grips with, well, what is it? Because up till now, it's a mix of fandom and special sauce and unique personalities and unique creative personalities over a long period of time, making content that just hits on every level and shapes the gaming world in general. And it's possible we're getting to a stage where that we can't say that anymore about Blizzard.
Right. They're just another developer.
Yeah.
Like any other.
Yeah. And it might be okay that we can't. We need to at least address the idea that it's maybe possibly okay that we can't entirely control that part of this narrative and make it what we want it to be. And it may just be a matter of, you know, a company going this long with this much success and with the market factors and the rest of the, you know, gaming world. Everyone owes something to Blizzard. You just go to a mobile app store. The just sheer number of shovelware that looks like Blizzard ripoffs of some kind. There's an orc, there's a human, there's a Tauren, there's a straight up art ripoff from right off the box of a Blizzard game. It's everywhere on an international level. That influence is so potent, you can't ignore it.
It's like 98% of Dota.
Yeah, it is. And League and anything else. Like, it's just, you know, and everyone's talking about how great stuff is looking at League these days. Like, some of their art has taken a real jump. Their animation studio has taken a real jump.
Yeah,
like
they
all
released
this stuff.
Zool recently.
Yeah, they did. They're all
pale white guy in a vest.
They also hired all the Heroes of the Storm people.
Well, that was going to be
where
my
all those
point.
people
Like,
went.
all the Blizzard people, a lot of the Blizzard talent ended up at Riot, and some of it over time, some of it as early as 2014 with Greg Street leaving. He may have been the first of what was to be many. Like, I saw that as like a moment of, I don't know, I just felt like that was also the Overwatch announcement year, which means they were still picking themselves up after what they saw internally as a massive failure with Titan. And that may have been when, you know, the alarms kind of started going off about this is a changing, evolving, fluid business, and you can't be Blizzard forever. The Blizzard we have in our heads cannot be possible forever. It's not sustainable. Or if it is, it's not sustainable under other rules of finance, like massive partnerships and huge portions of your company being owned by people you have no control over. The minute they are no longer just controlling their own destiny, and honestly, they've never quite been in a position to do that anyway, because even in their earliest days, they had investors that were basically owning the company, like majority shares. That's how businesses run. You don't just have all the money at once like Morheim does now to do Dreamhaven. But that's one of the cool things about watching this Dreamhaven stuff unfold. This is different this time. This is him saying, I don't need the investment. I don't have to use my credit cards to make sure everybody gets paid. I can get this done. And that's exciting in its own weird way. So maybe that thing we're talking about is still there and it's somewhere else. But the Blizzard thing is it's just different now. There's too many people involved. There's multiple countries involved. There's governments involved. Like, you can't be the old Blizzard where somebody says, you guys, what if we made a shooter or whatever? You know, I just can't see them doing it
even
anymore.
the esports, like the esports walk back makes sense in that context, right?
Right.
They went so hard on like, yeah, esports, then all of a sudden it's like I'm watching Hearthstone with like only a couple thousand people on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not on Twitch. Like they're esports. It's like it's barely existent.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so.
It's really weird to see him go from all hands esports to most of those people are fired and you don't hear about it anymore. Like, it's just
there's like barely any StarCraft to speak of. Hearthstone's not there. Heroes is gone. I assume, I don't even know what's going on with Overwatch. Like, they had that studio. They're not doing that anymore, are they?
No, but they still have the. Oh, that's a good question. Do they still have that arena in Burbank? I don't know. I assume they probably do.
I thought I saw something about Overwatch League coming back, but not too long ago.
It is.
The
League is coming back, but
studio.
not at the same level, like the same. You know, I mean, there's no way they don't have near the people anymore. It's like they fired most of that department, or not fired, laid them off. But yeah, not knowing enough info about that, I can't say totally.
Yeah,
but it feels like, in a weird way, like I used to say this about Kurt Schilling's 38 Studios. They tried to go from zero to Blizzard in a year, and that was a mistake. And I still say it was a mistake. Just throwing money to try to catch up in that way was a big mistake for them in 2008 and 9 and 10 and whatever it was. But Blizzard almost made that same mistake, but kind of internally. It's like half-assing Reforged, and then they got to hire out to get Resurrected done. And then, you know, Diablo Immortal was it fell so flat from a PR standpoint, just not knowing who your players are kind of thing. And, you know, Diablo 4 resurrected that a little bit, no pun intended. But it's just, I think that they're in a place right now where they're like not exactly sure what the F to do. I could be wrong.
I think you just said the key that I feel has been the biggest disconnect from Blizzard in a while is they don't know who their players are. Like, that has been the story for a long time with them. Like, you go to BlizzCon, and Scott, you and I could have said before that show where they announced Diablo Immortal,
Yeah.
what would the reception be if they announced a mobile game? And we could have said with 100% certainty they would get boos.
Oh, yeah.
And they seemed completely caught off guard by the fact that people would boo it.
Yeah.
And they don't understand the players. And I kind of feel like the problems of the current WoW expansion is a case of them not understanding the players. I think Ian Hazacostas is a smart guy. I think he's a talented guy. But when you hear him talk about people, he talks about people like they are robots.
Yeah.
He has a very like analytical, like, well, we did this because player response was this, and that increase told us that player interaction with it. And it's like, what are you talking about? Just make a fun game. What are you doing? Like, it's baffling to me the way they talk about players sometimes, and the things that they seem to get caught off guard by. Putting Destiny announcements at BlizzCon.
Yeah,
Who would have thought that
weird.
would have gotten a negative response? Everybody in the crowd would have,
Yeah.
but they were completely caught off guard. And I don't think everybody there is completely clueless, but I think that there are people making decisions that are either not listening to the people that are telling them what's going to be the result, or they're ignorant of it.
Yeah.
It's just shocking the level of PR problems that they seem to bump into that anybody could see is coming.
Well, do you think leadership wise, does Jab, I mean, I just don't see anybody speaking up anymore. I think that's the problem. Nobody's like, we're not there, so we can't say for sure. This is all speculation. All right. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but some people are going to write it anyway. But my point is, like, does any, like, if they would have come to me with the Destiny thing, and I'm in charge, and I know Blizzard up and down, in and out. This is back in Morheim's time still, though. But I would have still said, no, we can't do that. And if you are going to do it, you need to make sure that it's on you that you did it. Like, I feel like there were some conflicts like that where the Activision side and the Blizzard side were starting to not question each other with bad decisions and just go with it. And maybe they just never had to do that before, but they had to start doing that right around 2015 through 2018 is kind of the feeling I had generally from being there. And that Destiny thing to me was like the beginning. When that happened, I went, oh, what are we doing here? Like, and what's just hilarious, because it wouldn't be too long before Destiny broke free of Activision completely and left like a bat out of hell, and removed themselves from the launcher, and all of that went away within like a year after that, something like that. And now they're on their own, publishing their own. They have no deal with Activision anymore because they were stifling there. That should have told us something. But also that was also, I think, 2018 when they did that, and that was the same year that they announced Immortal, and so we got that double whammy that year, and I just kind of scratched my head. Like, really? You guys know this, right? I mean, I would have known this, and I'm just playing your games. Like, it's like you said. So I feel like there's a lot of people going, do we? Well, I don't know. Should we? Well, I don't know. What do you think? Well, I don't know. Nobody's going, leadership, here's what you do. Here's how we're doing it. This is consistent. Nobody's doing that and putting the law down, because they're in a current position where everybody's sort of floating up in the same VP space, and they all might get fired. That's how it feels. I could be wrong, but it's how it feels.
Feels like there's a lot of fear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear.
There is a lot of fear. And we don't have to go on forever about Blizzard. But
anyways, Jeff leaving makes me think of all those things.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good.
It's all caught up in it.
To wrap it all up, it's just like you see another, they lose another luminary. Like, they're important. There's a reason Michael Jordan is stuck, or Wayne Gretzky stick around on their franchises for a long time. It's a big deal when they change.
Yeah.
And Jeff Kaplan and et cetera are no different.
Yeah, I agree. All right, we're going to move on to some Windows news. Shouldn't say news, sort of news. Windows is overhauling its PC store. They want it to be more open. This is Microsoft we're talking about. They may include games with mod options, support for that sort of stuff. It sounds to me like they're saying more Steam-like. It's kind of what they're saying. the PC store, meaning I assume this means the Xbox store, the Game Pass store. Is that the one we're talking about? Or are we talking about like the built-in
No, we're
store?
talking about the Windows Store. The if you click your start button and you hit Microsoft Store, that
okay.
That thing I never touched
because it sucks and it's bad. Yeah. I mean, they could totally.
They really didn't try, right? Like,
sure, they could fix this and make it better. For sure. I'm not saying they couldn't do that, but what gamers are focused on right now is Game Pass, and they are focused on that Game Pass launcher. And unless you're going to integrate the two, it's already confusing because there's two stores, and a lot of those things appear in both places. It's goofy. So if they're saying, I don't know how they do that. I think this is weird.
Is the Windows Store gone? I can't even find it in my start menu.
It's in there. I don't have my Windows box.
It's still
up,
there for me.
Yeah,
but yeah, a big part of it, and this is getting maybe a little more technical, is this article on The Verge pointed out. Right now, developers have to package their Win32 apps in a MSIX to support the Windows Update functionality of Windows, which is basically an additional step. In the future, they're going to allow standard EXE or MSI packages through the store, and let developers use their own content delivery systems. It's kind of a big deal. I'll give you an example. So there was a game that I was really kind of into for a little bit. I think it was called Neon Punk.
Neon Punk.
On the show.
Yeah.
It was this roguelike kind of shooter game, and I started playing it. It was on Game Pass. That's why I was able to get in there. And I liked what I was playing, but I immediately said, this game has some serious issues. Like, there's some things that need to be fixed in this game. Not necessarily bugs, but just feels like the design behind a couple of these things were not very well thought out.
Sure.
And the developers agreed because they implemented fixes for him, but they didn't want to do a bunch of little official patches. They wanted to do one big test patch, let people play on kind of like a test version of it, give their feedback, update that, and then release a big patch to update everything.
Yeah.
On Steam, you can download beta clients. No such luck for Microsoft Store.
Right.
So you can't opt in. You can't get any sort of beta patch or anything like that to try anything. There's just the one version of the game.
Yeah.
An overhaul to the store theoretically would change something like that to where they could have a beta launcher for you to download, or could support that sort of thing, because they don't have to do additional work purely for the Microsoft Store version of the game.
I just think them having two launchers, having a Game Pass for PC launcher and a Windows Store launcher with everything, including other applications plus games, is already confusing having them separated. If you're going to really advance the gaming buying options and all the stuff you're talking about in that store, how do you also have this Game Pass store? Like, I don't understand how they do that. They got to integrate.
I think this thing exists for people who don't know what Steam and Epic are, essentially, or maybe don't have them in their country.
But who are those people? Like who is it? Enough people that Microsoft would even care then? Like, you know,
well, it's like mom and dad or whatever. Like, oh, I got this computer. Oh, a store button. Oh, I can buy things. Let me get my credit card. I'm going to play Manor Matters and try this game. Like, I think that's literally their client base. Like, anyone who knows anything is literally never coming here to buy anything. Unless there's some reason I'm not thinking of. Like, install Epic, get your free game. Like, what are you doing here? If you know like anything about games, you're literally like, something's out there and you don't even know there's a Windows Store with options. I think it's literally very not advanced computer users.
It must be. It's people that don't know that there's another browser besides Edge or whatever default stuff. Like, the first thing I do when I do a Windows reinstall, very first thing I do, launch Edge in 10 and whatever browsers previous to that, Explorer, whatever. But launch Edge, go to Chrome.com or go to Firefox.net or wherever else whatever browser I want, download that shit, and immediately change my default browser.
Yeah.
But old people aren't doing that, I guess.
Yeah. See, like the game that's featured, just a big picture, the first thing, you know, Sherlock, hidden match 3 cases.
That tells you everything you need to know about the audience for it. Their current best-selling games in the Windows Store: Candy Crush Soda Saga, Minecraft, and Roblox.
Oh, Lord.
So
don't forget
it
about
is a-
Caesar's Casino, free slot games.
it is a different audience, but I will say this, Scott, I think the hope is that by making it better, hopefully the elements of the store that Game Pass app ties into would improve as well. That would
Right.
be my hope. I don't know that that's going to be the case, but I do know that Game Pass, when it updates, when it needs updates, it launches right into Windows Update and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
that's where those updates are fed through.
Sure.
So if they can break away from some of that or some of the weirdness associated with that and their weird file formatting, that would be a net bonus to Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I agree. If they can just, whatever they do here, there just needs to be some consolidation if they're going to advance one over the other or whatever, or make them together. Some people in the chat are like, I've never even used the Game Pass launcher. It's all in the store. So I guess you can do that, but it's kind of weird. It's weird to have two. Why do you have two?
Get the Game Pass launcher.
Yeah.
It's way better than the
It's
store.
way better
That's
than
my
the store.
advice.
Oh,
The
100%.
app for Game Pass is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
So
it's good. Well, it didn't start great, but it's gotten way better. It's stable now and
Integrate it, and then advertise your Xbox on there, so then people will buy more of your stuff.
That new Laura for real says MS Store was the only way I could get access to Age of Empires Remastered. I got it on Steam, so I guess I didn't know the MS Store was the only place to do it. But you can get it on the Game Pass app now. I have it over there too, and I'm getting 4 there. I can't wait to play 4 because here's what I'll do. Ready? Here's my Age of Empires 4 plan, which they showed off last week finally. It looks great. I'm a big Age of Empires guy. I love that stuff back in the day.
Yeah, look cool.
Aztecs all the way in Age of Empires 2. Anyway, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to load it up. I'm going to start a game. I might do the campaign later, but I'm going to skip the campaign, go to a sandbox mode, and I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to have one enemy on this giant map, and he's going to be the lowest I can be on difficulty. He's going to be down in the shit AI department. And then I'm going to make it so I have a lot of money and a whole bunch of starting stuff and be able to just tech myself out any way I want, and I'm going to play that game, because then what I do is I turtle up and play Civ, basically, is what I do.
Yep.
A giant RTS of Civ. I don't even worry about the army, because those little piddly wiener boys that are the AI are not going to do anything to my walls. They're just going to come out there once in a while and throw rocks at it, and I'll decimate them with like one trebuchet or whatever. That's how I play that game, and I'm very excited.
That is exactly how I play that game as well.
Yeah.
The only difference between what you described and what I do is I do a wall around my civilization.
Yeah.
Then behind that wall, every couple of spaces or so, I do the towers that can fire arrows down, if anybody does decide to come up and attack my glorious wall.
Right.
And then on the off chance that somebody does manage to get through that wall, late game when they tack up, I build a second wall behind all those towers. So it's wall, towers, wall.
Yeah.
And then I just live my best life, and every now and then I hear the little like that we're under attack. Yeah.
And then you just put a couple of priests around to go, "Hololo, hololo," or whatever, and you're good.
Yep.
You're set.
The wall's back. The wall's back, baby. It's ready to go.
I think I have that guy here. Hold on. Do I have him handy? I went and capped him because he is my favorite of all ever. Hold on. I want to play it because now I'm in the mood. Let's see. Whoa, low, low. If I can find it. Here it is. Oh, now I can't. Maybe it's just priest. I never know what I name anything. Oh, here he is. Check him out. Oh my gosh, dude. The nostalgia I feel for that is palpable. Just hearing that dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, so watch for that. PlayStation Plus video pass leaked. We don't. No one saw this coming. Although, I don't know. I heard somebody say a PlayStation Plus video pass leaked, and I went, video pass, a video of something called Pass, like Game Pass. Oh, they're competing with Game Pass. No, that's not what that is.
Well, it could be. I mean, in a way, we talked about this last week. I said, what does PlayStation do as an answer to Game Pass? Is it just like, well, it's Game Pass, but with different developers? Like, is that the answer? And I didn't really think about this, but it looks like this might end up being part of it, which is basically Sony has a whole movie studio. So maybe as a part of whatever, they have this PlayStation Plus video pass that's gone live in Poland, I believe. And
Poland's
they
a
think
test.
it might be a test market.
Yeah.
But basically you have it, and then you get to watch Sony movies.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. You got access to Sony movies. So it's sort of like video streaming mixed in. And I guess that kind of makes sense if you're going to be if you have a movie studio and that sort of thing, and you're trying to compete with Game Pass, bring in everybody. Don't make it just about video games. Bring in everything. I don't know if that ultimately nets a like, oh, sold for me, but I saw Venom. It was an entertaining movie. I don't know if it sells me on Video Pass. So,
well, okay. If you look at it, they just signed a deal with Disney Plus to put all the Spider-Man movies on Disney Plus. So I don't know what deal they worked out there, but that's going to be a thing where Disney gets all the Spider-Man stuff. But if you look at the landscape of new competing streaming services, you have HBO Max and Paramount Plus and the new what was the other? Oh, Peacock, and just like all these new things cropping up. Every big library holding production freaking monster brand name like that has a competing streaming service right now, except for Sony. Sony Pictures doesn't have this thing. They owned Crackle, but sold it. They've had little bits of stuff here and there where they'd partner with somebody, but they don't have their own thing. So I feel like this is that. This is them saying, well, let's leverage our biggest strength, which is PlayStation, and let's do it. But this concerns me slightly because they had a pretty good thing going with their live TV thing. PlayStation TV was I think the best of all of those like live channel subscription services. It was awesome, and they canned it. They shit canned it. So I'm not that convinced that this will stick, even if it's real. Well, it is real, but who knows what they're going to do with the test. But I think that's what this is. This is their way of going, yeah, our whole library is on here. And we'll have an app on Apple TV and on Roku too. It's not just going to be on PlayStation. And it'll be called PlayStation Video Pass, and it will annoy the hell out of everybody because that name's dumb. But it's fine.
It'll probably be overpriced.
Probably.
For what's on it.
Probably. I mean, we don't know much else, but anyway, we'll see what happens. They got to do some stuff in general just to get people excited about subscriptions over there because everyone's eating their lunch. If it's Sony Pictures or PlayStation, they're just kind of getting hammered in that one
frustrating.
They're going to have the most exclusives ever of all time.
You think so?
That's the last thing I read.
It's frustrating because Sony should be better at this.
Yeah.
Like they have, I would say maybe second to, well, this will be controversial, but I would say second to Nintendo. They probably have the best library of classic games, and they do offer a lot of those through PlayStation Now. But I don't want to stream it. I want to be able to just go, hey, I really need to play Chrono Cross. It's been too long since I played that game. I need to play it again. I'm going to download it, and I'm going to play it. And I don't want to have to stream it. I just want to download the game and play it.
Agreed.
And I would pay for a subscription to be able to do that sort of thing.
Yep.
But they don't want to sell it. They don't want to do that. They seem to have this weird fixation that nobody cares about old games, which is not true. And that PlayStation Now covers that base, which it doesn't. It doesn't do what I need it to do.
Totally.
So I find it so frustrating because Sony has this great history, this great library. They have their video, they have a history with music, all sorts of stuff that they could leverage. And they just seem to be like, I don't know, we'll remake Last of Us and do really strong PS5 exclusives. All right, Sony, well, I still don't have a PS5. You got to step it up a little more than that.
Yeah, I'm in the same exact boat, and I agree with all that. I think they do have the second best library in gaming, and the only other thing I'd compare it that would say contrary to that would be like PCs, because PCs have just such a breadth of like indie content and everything in between, and some of the same content. So if we're not including them, we're just saying consoles and older games from consoles. Sony's got the second place. I don't know what's wrong with them with this. I don't understand it. It's very weird. I don't know if it's an infrastructure thing or if it's just a cost to value thing, or if they're just like, look, we make enough on our new epic releases that are amazing, and they are, and so we don't need to worry about it. But I don't know if that's going to be true for forever. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Hey, Bo.
Yes.
Well, like for example, John, if I wanted to play Sony's the show, MLB the show, I could. Oh wait, I can get that on Game Pass today.
This became such a troll.
I know that's very
People
trolly.
are gonna think we're owned by Microsoft.
I know.
For
People are gonna
that
give a shit
exact
for that.
comment, but we can't avoid it because we're gonna talk about it more later. And I won't lie, it was maybe 70% of the reason I decided to do it.
There you go. It was easily 70% for me or more. All right, sorry, Bo. Back to you. How do you feel?
Hi.
You're we're gonna blow some of this news early. Bo's getting a Xbox Series S.
We're
It's
gonna
on
blow
its
what
way.
now?
We're gonna blow Bo. It's gonna be great. It'll be on
Whoa.
camera. He's getting a Xbox Series S.
Yes, the purchase has been made.
Yeah.
The delivery is in. I just don't have it here. I had it delivered to my mom's house, so I got to pick it up. Or my mom's going to drop it off tomorrow evening.
Oh, she's got
And-
she has the console now.
We have it. It was really quick. I ordered it Wednesday. It hit the house Thursday.
Nice. How'd you do
ordered
it?
Tuesday. Hit the
Where'd you
house
get
Thursday.
it? Where'd you get it?
From a place in Canada called The Source.
The Source.
Wow.
Yeah, it used to actually be called
Whoa.
Radio Shack, but I think it was a Canadian Radio Shack. What?
That's only funny because where John and I live in the States, Radio Shacks, you could hit a Radio Shack by closing your eyes and spitting in any direction.
Yeah,
They're
so that's why
everywhere.
I'm hesitating to bring it up, because I think there was a Radio Shack in Canada like in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah,
And you guys had Radio Shack in the States.
yeah.
And I think either they were both owned by the same company that got sold off, or they just decided to change their name due to legal spatting or something.
Sure.
But it became The Source. So they're just think Radio Shack in every mall, but they're called The Source.
They sound
I
better.
think it's the full name is The Source by Circuit City, but maybe that's
Really?
wrong. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, that's another name I have not
I don't
heard.
know.
that
Go to
name.
thesource.ca.
Wow. All right.
Hang on.
That's
And
cool.
then-
No, it sounds
Formerly Radio Shack, The Source, brought to you by Circuit City,
City.
sponsored by
Yeah, maybe the Circuit
CompUSA.
City is just something is doesn't make any sense. Never mind.
Brought to you
Never
by
mind that part.
Ultimate
That just came from a
Electronics,
weird
yeah.
part of my brain.
Well, everything you've
But,
mentioned though is gone here. We don't have any of those parent companies anymore. So you guys, the Source figured out a way.
I don't know. I think it's owned by Bell now, or so, who knows?
Okay.
And they're everywhere, and they're kind of crummy. You know, they're not great, but you know they have the kind of connectors and parts you're looking for. Pretty convenient, so they're nice. Anyways, on the Xbox site, they tell you which retailers have it, and as it turns out, a couple of retailers got some S's in, no X's, but they got the S's in, and I'm like, you know what? I can't wait any longer. I'm getting this thing. So what if it's the S version?
it's okay. My
Seems
daughter
great
loves
to me. It
hers.
has ray tracing. It seems fine.
Yeah, my daughter loves her S. She's super into
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
It seems fine. So, and you know, I'm spending less money, so that's great. So I ordered it, and yeah, Walmart had them, but they were going to deliver them in like 6 weeks. It was like
Oh,
estimated date of
geez.
arrival like May 10th, and this was early April, and I'm like, well, I don't
Freaking
want it a month
Walmart.
from now. So
Yeah.
I went to the Source,
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, we'll get it to you by Friday, and they delivered it a day early. So I'm pretty pleased about that.
They're the Source.
And,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I got
it's
it.
got a great name. Like the problem is the name is too good.
yeah. It's almost
Like
too good.
saying I got it from the source, you're just like, wow.
Where'd you get your console? I got it from the Source.
That's the thing in a lot of video games. Video games would be like, you know, it's their version of the Force. You know, it's like, oh, you've got source materia from the Crystal Cave. Like, it sounds like, you know,
Yeah.
Source.
The power of the Source, the crystal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
And it's
well,
too
that's
bad
great.
they don't call their employees. You know how like some places call their employees celebrities?
Shut up.
Yeah, that's
Is
a
that
real
tr-
thing.
is
I
that
think
true?
that's at Old Navy or something like
Oh
that.
my gosh.
Yeah, like a lot of or barista at Starbucks.
well, that
It's
I've
like
heard,
your
yeah.
McDonald's guy. At a
Oh,
coffee
I
shop.
just got celebrities. I
Yeah,
just got it.
celebrity.
Sorry.
So celebrities, you know, they give them names. They should call people that work at the Source sorcerers, like a la
Sorcerers!
Divinity 2.
That's
Source is a big
great!
thing in Divinity 2. That's why it's ringing
That's
bells. but
great. That's a great
Source.
idea. I love that
Yeah,
idea.
they should call them sorcerers.
Mm.
I should write them and tell them they're really messing up.
Well, the whole point here is that you're going to now, because I assume you're going to get Game Pass, because Game Pass makes sense.
I have it on PC. Like I think it's transferable.
Yeah,
like,
it totally is. So you'll be able to
Yeah.
do that. And the good news is it also comes with EA Game Pass, that's okay news. But the better news is, for some reason, EA is retrofitting a ton of their games, their back catalog, and giving them better frame rates and next-gen improvements just for the heck of it.
Sweet.
So
Nice.
they did this first. It seemed like the experiment was Star Wars Redhead Man. What was that called, John?
Star
No,
Wars
you got
Red
it.
Man.
Yeah, you got it right away. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, right. That guy.
Attack of the Redhead Man.
Attack of the Redhead guy. That game came out and was okay on there, but they updated it and it looks insane on there now. Like, it's real pretty, running at 120 frames per second if you have a TV that'll support it, and if not, 60. You'll definitely get 60. But most of their games, like one of the big stinkers of their libraries, is that I played it on PC, so it didn't matter. But Titanfall 2, I think to this day, I'm still pretty sure it's my favorite all-time campaign in a shooter ever. I really do think
I
that.
still have to play that. Is that on Game Pass?
Yes.
Oh, you know what I'm doing.
Yeah. And that's getting a huge upgrade, which makes me want to go back and play some of that multiplayer too. So anyway, it's a really cool to hear this.
I wonder if Mass Effect, I'd even buy that. I'd play it on the Xbox too, maybe.
The remastered?
The remaster will be
Yep.
Those are
Like, that's definitely
it'll
happening.
probably be that. That'll be that, like, you need the EA Premium Play power.
Maybe I'll just buy it at full
subscription.
box price, so I don't have to worry about that stuff. Like, it's not like I'm never going to buy a game for the Xbox, but when I stacked it up because I was going to get a Switch, it's like Switch is like, well, I'm going to spend 80 on Smash, 80 on Zelda, 80 on Mario. Where I'm like, I'm going to be spending a lot of money. The game. I already have the Game Pass. Let's rock that. So
Dwight Schrute in the chat says, "I hear you can romance yourself in the remaster." I don't think that's true. Number one,
I didn't need to be remastered to romance myself, Dwight Schrute.
No, but I'm going to say this: that is the most Dwight Schrute ass thing I've read in this chat room today. Like, the
I
actual
hear you can
character.
romance yourself as the remaster.
Yeah, I
Maybe
could
say
hear
it.
Yeah,
I
it
can
really
hear him saying
does.
it.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I can 100% see it.
You nailed it. Well done. Anyway, that's good news, and I hope this happens for their sports games. I love their hockey games, but they're locked at 30 currently on on last gen consoles, and that version has not been uncapped. So a frame rate uncapping of like the latest hockey game would be fantastic. I would love that. So make that happen.
Yeah. Anyways, seems like it's going to be a good time. I'm going to probably not see a lot of sunshine this weekend.
No, I'm excited for you, dude. Stoked, actually.
Yeah.
We should. You know what we should do?
We should have an Xbox party.
Well, I mean,
did you know the last Xbox I bought was the Xbox 360?
well,
That's the last console I bought. I'm stoked. I'm actually getting a video game.
yeah, like a
box.
real
It's
one.
kinda crazy.
We could play that. What's it called? That new shooter everyone loves.
Outriders.
Outriders. Yeah, we give that a shot.
Yeah.
Try some of that
Yeah,
moldy
let me
player.
refund that on my Steam. I've still only played an hour of it.
Oh yeah, you can totally refund it. They'll
think
hook
so.
you up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on Game Pass, and actually, we're almost to the month up where that's on Game Pass PC as well, so you could jump back and forth, I guess.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's good.
Oh, it's
I
got
wanna try
crossplay,
that.
right? Yeah.
I don't know if that's happened yet, but it was supposed to happen. Originally, it was supposed to be Game Pass PC day one, but they had such strong response on Steam. They were like, "Let's get some of the Steam money, and let's get some of this Epic money, and then we'll put it on Game Pass." Crossplay enabled. Yep. What else? There was something else about it. Oh, and all your cross progresses back and forth. Like, all the stuff you'd expect is there.
That
It's
seems
a
kinda
cool
awesome.
game. I dig it.
And they have Ubisoft subscription available on there too, right? So I have to get back to Valhalla at some point.
They do, but yeah, if you already have the sub, I forget how this works with them. Wasn't there? There was also a rumor that they were going to just be a part of Game Pass. That didn't happen, but.
I thought maybe they were just including it in the ecosystem, but it'd still be a separate buy. We'll see when I get it. I'll report back.
I can't remember. There's something like that going on.
That was a really expensive sub. I think it was like, I want to say it was like $20.
It's
or
15 here, so yeah,
$25.
it's got to be about 20 or 25.
It's pretty
up there.
pricey for Canada. Just they have a lot of games, but it's still only Ubisoft stuff.
Yeah.
But I did want to keep playing Valhalla, but
Valhalla's
it was
awesome.
getting to the point where it'd be cheaper just to buy the game.
Yeah. Chat room asks about controller or keyboard. I really like controller on Outriders personally.
It's got a Gears feel, and Gears
Yeah.
is pretty sweet with a controller.
Yeah, it's
So-
third person, and I often prefer third person. Actually, I kind of like I like a lot of shooters with controllers. I don't know what my problem is. I don't have a problem with it. For
Depends how
campaign
twitchy
stuff.
it is.
It's nice.
Competitive stuff, now we're talking a different animal, and I feel like it'd probably be
Yeah.
better. But if I'm just playing, like, on the PC, I played Titanfall 2 controller only the whole time and loved it.
If it's
Hey,
PvE
Scott.
stuff, controller's great.
Yeah.
Did you play the current best MMO Final Fantasy? Did you play that with a controller? Or did you do mouse and keyboard for that?
I tried. That's funny you asked, John. The current best. I know you mixed your names up. The current best MMO that uses a controller is Elder Scrolls Online, and I used it there as well. So here's what I did. Back when a couple weeks ago, when I was in FF14, I did try the controller because I just wanted to see, and I think that works fine. It seems fine. It's not my prefer. If I'm at a PC, I don't think I'm going to do that by default because MMOs just have a lot of frickin' buttons going on. And yes, you can find ways to create all the rotations and do it. And lots of people do. PlayStation 4 and now 5 has a great version of Final Fantasy 14, and people play it all the time. I think most of their players are there, actually. So that's great and not a problem. I decided to try it also on ESO. It also works really well for the game, but I still prefer that game without it as well. Same thing. So, So the answer is MMOs. I don't know what that is. It's totally playable. And if they can get ESO to be account agnostic and with this Microsoft buy, it seems like it's likely that we'll be able to play. I'll play my PC version and pick it right up on the console if I want to. Right now, those are separate ecosystems.
Let's drop into a fetch quest and
Right.
then go play some Outriders.
For both of those games, by the way, for ESO and FF14, they're not cross-compatible with their PC counterparts. I think that should change, and that would be really cool if they did, because I would jump back and forth no problem. And sitting on a couch, I want a controller.
If you did.
It would be a lot cooler if you did. Anyway, yeah, cross-playing ESO would be amazing, Lyle. I hope they do that. Because one cool thing about ESO is no servers and realms to choose. You're all on one giant frickin' thing. They figured out a way to do it. And
is it a lack of players?
No, it is not a lack of players. People are everywhere in that game all the time.
Oh, okay.
And John, by the way, we should probably mention that John and I are continuing our real fake beef, MMO beef.
I call it the Clones Wars because they're both clones of WoW. So it's the Clone Wars. Sorry. That's why I call it the Clone Wars.
One of them's a little more cloney than the other, but I take your meaning. Yeah, I get it. But see what I did just
I mean it jokingly and not derisively.
No, none of us mean any of this derisively. So, but the point is, it's good fun and we're enjoying it and we're going to keep doing it. But yeah, like their whole thing at launch was like, look at us, we're like EVE Online, one big server, let's go. And I think it really is a bunch of servers, but they just kind of create a system that makes it so they create the effect of one giant server. And in some ways, you could argue WoW already does that with all the crossplay it does with mega servers and stuff. Anyway, point of the matter is, I want all that stuff to be multiple console, multiple whatever. I think WoW should be on consoles. I think that'd be great.
Well, Chad is giving a slight correction. Final Fantasy XIV is crossplay somewhat, so the license for the game is not, which means you would have to buy it on a different console, but your account is crossplay. So once you have bought it and logged in, you would then be playing.
So you buy it in both places, but you can play you can pick up wherever you're playing and play. Okay, that's cool. That's actually really cool. I didn't know they did that. The ESO is definitely two separate things. So the way I would spin that in a positive way, just to keep the beef up with John, would be to say, it keeps all those console riffraffers out. You get to stay with your PC elites and the console people.
Pure.
Yeah, it's a pure, master race PC thing. Exactly. So there's my answer to that. Somehow that's positive.
Yep, somehow. If you just look at it,
that worked out really well. Anyway, it's that's fascinating stuff to me, and watch for more about Bo's experience as soon as he gets it. But now it's time for a Dear Martha Steam review. Yes, that's
joy.
right.
It's that time again.
John scours Steam for weird reviews and then puts them to work here on the show. John, I assume this is a standard reading today.
It's a standard Martha.
All right, sweet. Well, I have the music for that for sure. So here it is. Enjoy the following review.
My dearest Martha, today I present to you a review of the game Niflheim, which is not the current popular Valheim game, but a different one, as I found out after I spent some time with it. Anyway, on with the review. Martha, I want to love this game, but in the end, the hunger got to me. 99% of the game is trying not to get hungry. If the food items gave more satiety, I looked up how to say that earlier, and I forgot since then. It would make this game playable. But right now, no matter how much food I eat, a few swings of the pick in the mines, and blam, hungry again. The rest of the game is pretty good, but you can't enjoy any of it, because you are always hungry. Yours in this life and the next, Double D.
I love that. What's that word again? Tell me that word again. Sedate. It's like sedate, or not sedate. Like you're satiated,
yeah.
right?
It's Satiety.
Okay.
Satiety. It's the state of being sated.
Yeah, it's like satiation. Got it. All right.
Satiation.
Who uses that in a Steam review? That guy. Apparently Double D does.
That guy did.
Yeah.
And I looked it up because I was like, is that a real word or is that a Steam user word?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, cool, it's a real word. I better learn how to say it so I don't mess up the Dear Martha. And that was hours ago, and that was... I couldn't remember it.
Well,
I enjoyed that the review was all hanging on the hunger aspect.
Yeah.
It's not Valheim. He found out after how many hours?
No kidding. Artemis Tigris in the chat says he has a title idea. He or she. We live in a satiety, or now I don't know how to say it.
We live in a satiety.
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 We live in a satiety.
We're gonna use that for our title today. So nice job. All right, that was awesome as always. And now this. The games we played. I won't go on forever, but I played a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, and I finally got to some stuff everybody's been telling me forever was great, and I just needed to play through it. I got to the Dark Brotherhood stuff, and it is good. It's just so, well, dark, for lack of a better term, but also really D&D-ish and roguish, and I'm stealing stuff and assassinating people and just rad stuff going on in that storyline. And
Did you do in that ESO way where you got to sneak into people's houses and literally murder them?
Some of it, yeah. Some of it's out in the open, and you got to try to do it in a way that no one else sees you do it, and then quickly, kill them and get out of there. Like there's a lot of that sort of stuff in some of those missions, but it's basically another experience slash. I guess it's kind of like a reputation system with them, except every day you're unlocking. Well, you're getting skill points and other stuff, and unlocking stuff in a skill tree that's just for them that can give you a whole bunch of new abilities and stuff. So especially if you're playing a rogue or something, or a roguish character with dual wielding, or even a bow or whatever, there's just a lot of cool stuff in there for those folks. I'm playing a magic caster and don't really need any of that so much. Some of the passives are good, but for the most part, I'm just really enjoying the story in there. And the aesthetic of it is so my jam. I just love just the dark D&D quality to everything. It feels like Diablo-style dungeons, and the place where you meet these guys and get the quests. It's just this rad hole in the rock that looks like nothing to anyone else, but you go in there, it's this opulent, candle-lit, just a bunch of dudes sneaking around with hoods, talking shit. It's just great.
I will say this, Dragon Beef aside.
Yeah.
Thieves Guild and Dark Brotherhood.
Yeah.
Universally the best stuff in any and all Elder Scrolls games.
Agreed.
It is always good.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like somehow deep down that's just what's in Bethesda's soul, because every single game.
But
those tend to be the landmarks.
I agree, and it's here in droves. This, of course, the world's set 300 years before, Skyrim and freaking all that stuff, and it's a different organization, and so it's got some fun twists to it. It's in a time where things are just a little bit different. Anyway, I really like those nuances. The VO is, as that game is, always just over the top amazing. John teases me that it's stunt casting, but man, if you can get Bill Nye and that what's his name, Peter Stormare, and these people in the same room yelling at each other about their different kingdoms, it's just badass. It's so well done.
It's 100% stunt casting, but they are so good that it can, fine.
And every quest has got voice, all of it. Every answer, every extra click to say, tell me more about you and your time here. All of it is voiced. All of it sounds like it's pro out of the thing. I know that does not a perfect game make, but man, it really adds a lot of flavor and spice to this experience.
Calling it stunt casting is like saying, hey, ice cream isn't great for you. Like, that's true, but it doesn't make ice cream not delicious.
Right.
So
Right.
It's fine.
I'll remember this next time I click on the guy that plays Dumbledore and then move over to the guy, to John Cleese, who plays another character, and I'll be talking to him soon. There is that kind of casting throughout this game, but
isn't that just like jealousy? Because your game, everyone just goes, ah.
Yeah, there's a lot of
the entirety of Dragon Beef between Scott and I could be described as, isn't it just jealousy?
Yeah, I can see that. They both look awesome to me as someone sitting between us is like, well, there's a cool screenshot. Now there's another cool screenshot.
Yeah. Someone in the chat, Lyle, corrected me. It's 1,000 years before Skyrim. I mix it up. I think Old Republic is 300 years. I always forget. Whatever. The timeline. They are in a whole different era, whole different epoch of the world of Tamriel over there. But anyway, and the game, yes, the game has always had, those games have always had stunt casting. Patrick Stewart was in Oblivion. Was it Christopher Plummer in the last one, or in Skyrim? I don't remember. Anyway, and then they stunt cast. Here's the real stunt casting, John. The guy that goes, oh, how many times have you been up here in Durfador before I took an arrow to the knee or whatever? That one actor who you hear all the time in Skyrim, that dude is in this all the time. Usually a Nord, but he's in it. And Liam O'Brien is every 5 feet, I swear. Everyone I talk to is Liam, doing some of his best work. It's just great. Anyway, the game is rad. And what I like about it is partly that these two games, the two we're talking about today, our beef, are so different that they just scratch two totally different itches. And I love that they do that. The other thing is, dragons in Final Fantasy XIV look like stubby dogs, and they're terrible. So there's that. So I just want to get that part out of the way. Little stubby little French poodles with like shitty big heads, and they look like a moth had sex with a Frenchie. It's just bad. They're horrible. So that's my problem there. Okay.
Outside of that, here's what I don't get is why when you compare your worms, because let's be clear, they're missing 2 legs, so therefore not dragons. When you compare your worms to the Final Fantasy dragons, you're always like, oh, it's such stubby legs. How do they not fall over? You're missing 2 arms. I've got way more support on my stubby little dragon legs than you do missing them. If your worms lift up their arms, unless they start flapping, they're gonna face plant right into the dirt.
So you don't like dragons in anything then, other than the dragons in Final Fantasy? Because what you've described, this poor missing second pair of limbs, seems to be exclusive to Asian MMOs and never in anything like Game of Thrones, Reign of Fire.
That's 100% not true. The Sleeping Beauty dragon had. Let's look.
I believe you. I do.
Sleeping Beauty?
But Sleeping Beauty was made at a time where nobody knew what the F they were doing.
No, I would actually say that the dragon from Sleeping Beauty is one of the most quintessential dragons that ever existed.
Let me look at
Here's
this
a
thing.
bold statement.
Okay.
The dragon in Sleeping Beauty is, first of all, it's the first dragon that many people saw, being a children's movie, an old children's movie. And I think it has one of the coolest and most quintessential dragon looks out there. And yes, it has 4 legs and wings.
Okay, well, wait. So do some of the dragons in ESO. They're not all missing their two front legs and just walking around on their wing arms. That
All right. Well, the one I saw was walking around on its wing.
You're right. There are examples of quote unquote worms or drakes or whatever you want to call them that don't have the thing. And you're right. Here's where we agree. That dragon is badass. From that,
isn't it a cool dragon?
It really
It's
is cool. Yeah. Here, chat. Let's all be reminded.
I don't know. The gold standard for me was the Dragonlance cover art for dragons.
That was good.
D&D art.
Yeah, that stuff's really good. I guess I'm just not these top heavy freaking elephantitis looking ass weird things that they have in Final Fantasy are just, they rub me wrong. I don't know what those are about.
But they all look different, Scott, is the thing. Like, yeah, I will give you the one you were talking about that you met that didn't bother me at first. Yeah. Now that I've seen better dragons and now I have to go back and talk to that dragon again, I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a messed up looking dragon. It's like if the very first person you saw was a little fugly and then you were like, well, no, that's just how people look.
Yeah.
And then you met a bunch of other people and you went back, you were like, yeah, he was funny looking. You know, like if Steve Buscemi was the first person in this world you ever saw, you just go, you know, it's fine. And then you meet other people and you're like, oh, he's funny looking.
Steve Buscemi's the first guy you ever saw. I love the idea that I've never seen anybody else except very first face I ever see Steve Buscemi. That really does set the bar.
That'd be a traumatizing thing, I think.
It set the bar way down here, and then immediately you'd see somebody else and think, what magical being is this?
Yeah, like Henry Cavill's the second person you see.
Oh, that's hilarious.
He's like, elves are real. Oh,
that's so funny amazing to me. That's really funny.
A witcher.
But yeah, like they look like they just eat Cheetos and they just lay around, and you add more shit on their head and that somehow makes them cool. I don't know. They're just not my thing. And besides, if I agreed with you, we wouldn't have dragon beef. So here we are.
Yeah. Dragon beef is fun.
Kefix, I've seen both those trailers and they're badass. They're great. I like everybody's CG trailers. All the MMOs out today that everyone likes and enjoys, their CG trailer work, best we've ever seen. Love the ESO stuff, love WoW stuff, love it all.
I don't know if this is true. Don't necessarily give spoilers in the chat, but I feel like, so I got to the end of the base level Heaven's Ward this week in Final Fantasy 14. I have a feeling there was like a post-credit scene that revealed something about those CG trailers that's kind of mind-blowing. Like I never thought the CG trailers were going to mean anything to me.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like there was a big reveal involving the CG trailers.
Is Cloud there? Is that what's going on? Cloud shows up?
Cloud wasn't there. I wish he was there. Yeah. Cloud's great.
Cloud's pretty great. Yeah.
You know what I hate about Final Fantasy VII Remake? What? Here's a real beef.
Okay.
That game made me like Final Fantasy VII because now you say things like Cloud, and I'm like, yeah, Cloud.
Yeah.
That's right.
I used to hate Final Fantasy VII. Now I'm all on board.
Yeah. Bo has that. I feel like Bo had a hand in this, just helping you get on board and feel better about it.
It's a good game. It's just legendary. It's not. I didn't try to convince anyone. It's just hard not to speak with that game with reverence. That it's like it's just a moment in time.
It's just how it is. Yeah. I feel you.
You really do need to play Final Fantasy VII Remake, Scott.
I'm gonna play it. I really truly am gonna play it. When's that PC version? I thought we were at the point that would be out. What's going on? PC version.
It's working on new content for the PS5 version.
I think it's been more than a year since it last came out, I think.
Okay, here we go. PC Magazine or PCGamer.com says, this is as of February of this year.
A magazine.
PC release date has not been confirmed yet, but here's the details. 7 months is what they originally said.
Yeah, it's been that.
It's easily been that. So
the release date was April 10, 2020. So we're at a year. Hello, where's the game?
Yeah, this is not hard to port, you guys. And Square Enix does tons of PC stuff. So what's the deal?
Yeah, I guess it started around the time the pandemic started, eh?
Yeah. I want it. I want to play it.
I remember. Wow, that actually was a full year ago. Damn, time goes by fast.
Is that new Battle Royale game out yet? When's that happening? The Final Fantasy VII themed Battle Royale I heard about. Have you heard about this? This is a thing.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, no. FF7. What's it called? They showed it at their showcase.
I believe it could be a thing, but I don't remember anything about it.
They had a little showcasey thing. Here it is. It is called Final Fantasy VII. It's a prequel. It's a Battle Royale. It's called FF7: The First Soldier. Oh, it's mobile. Never mind.
Oh, that's why.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Comes in 2021 sometime. You run around in third person and shoot shit, and try not to die. But it's set in that it's set in that particular Final Fantasy biome. So everyone looks, it's gun swords and it's all that shit. Anyway,
Man, that sucks. It's been over a year.
Yeah,
Imagine
I know. I agree.
not buying it and waiting.
I agree. I've also been playing I almost exclusively ESO. It's just really got me in my veins right now. American Fugitive on Switch. When I'm not around my computer, if I'm in a place where I can play a quick game on the run, I play that. And it's just the quick on it. I did a full review on the Boop Show, so you can go listen to that if you want to hear the whole skinny. But it's basically the old GTAs, like think GTA 1 and 2, top-down, kind of heisty, open-world stuff. It's one of those, but it's set in the country and not a city. And the camera, and it's nice graphics. It's not like 8-bit or whatever. It's like a nice, 3/4 view 3D game, but done with a high camera or whatever. And you run around and do GTA type stuff. You got out of prison. Your father was killed. Everyone thinks it was you. Now you're on the run again. So you're changing outfits, beating up cops, taking their guns, stealing cars, GTA stuff. I like it a lot. American Fugitive is a indie game, and I think those guys killed it. It's very good.
Is that what I saw you posting on Twitter, or about with that cop was pushing
Yeah,
all
dude.
over the place?
Yeah, did you see that? It was bad.
Please stop the car. It's like, Dick, stop pushing my car around and I get out.
Yeah, he pushed me forever, and he kept saying, "Stop the car," and I'm like, "I'm on my side."
Crashed you into a house.
Yeah, it all felt a little too ripped from the headlines, if you ask me, but it was. The game's full of that kind of fun jank in it, and dumb moments like that. It's on PC as well, and I think PlayStation and Xbox have it as well now. But it's a really cool take on that stuff. If you miss those early GTA days that weren't necessarily what they are now. I meant to play MLB The Show, so I'm glad John did, because I want to hear how that game is. John, how do you feel about sports baseball today, having played it?
It's a little weird. I won't lie. I downloaded it and played it mostly because it was a Sony game on my Xbox, which seemed like a fun thing to do, and something that I had to do.
Yep.
So I did, and it's, I guess for the sake of understanding where I'm coming from, I haven't really played a baseball game on a console since, or really enjoyed it, I should say, since like the Griffey games on Nintendo consoles.
So certainly not since they've gone all 3D and realistic and stuff, right?
Yeah, not really.
Right.
It just hasn't been my thing since then. So this game does offer a lot of ways to kind of make the experience more like that, where you can do the same batting style that was in those, and you can do, you can kind of set how automatic you want the fielding to be. Like there's a lot of options where it goes through and it says, hey, what style do you want to do? Do you want to do modern? Do you want to do classic? Do you want to do this other one? Do you want to make it automatic? So I kind of like a lot of the options that they're giving you. I haven't played much of it because there were kind of two things that two big takeaways that I had.
Yeah.
One is that I'm not good at this game.
Okay.
All right.
So it was a lot of me not hitting the ball and striking out, or foul tips, or just like big pop-ups that got caught. And then me pitching no hitters in return, because apparently I'm good at pitching.
Yeah.
And so, like a baseball game, it was a lot of nothing, 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 nothing. And I got about 6 innings in and went, I'm very bored. And I stopped playing at that point.
Oh, man. All right.
Because I'm just not very good at it. But the other big takeaway from it is that I'm surprised that it doesn't look very good. And maybe it's just a misconception I have, but I always thought like sports titles were like racing games, and it was like, here's a showcase of the power of your system. And like, I'm not saying it looks bad, I'm just saying that I looked at it and went, I expected this to look a lot better than it does.
The
I don't
reviews,
think it looks very
have been
good.
saying this across the board for both the PS5 and this version. They've basically said, look, if you were looking for, and naturally, I think, looking for an upgrade for next gen systems in a meaningful way, that they don't really do it. It's sort of like last year's, maybe a better frame rate, but it looks kind of the same as well.
I mean, I get it in some places. So the first part where I went, whoa, what's going on here, was I was picking my stadium that I was going to play in.
Yeah.
And I just didn't understand the button prompt. And I hit, instead of like next stadium, I hit like next genre of stadium. And it took me to minor leagues, which I don't blame them for not putting the same level of care and detail into a minor league stadium that they would a major league. But my goodness, I think the very first 3D games ever in existence had better looking textures than some of the ones that they were putting up on this. It was like, where is this minor league stadium? In the desert. Great. Put some like JPEGs of cactuses off in the distance for people to look at and they'll believe it's a desert.
Wow.
It was really, really bad.
Yeah.
And it got a lot better when I went back to, I don't remember what it's called here anymore because it says when I was interested in baseball that I still call the Arizona ballpark Bob for Bank One Ball. Well, because it used to be Bank One Ballpark and everybody called it Bob.
That's amazing. That should have never changed. That pisses me off.
Now I think it's Chase Field.
No, because Chase
is what it's called now.
Yeah, because listen, ours used to be the Delta Center for the Jazz, and we love that name. It just sounded good. Delta Airlines was the owner at the time, or the big name behind it. And we just thought that would be it forever. It's now, what is it? Advent Home Security something. It's this big long company name. It sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah,
it's awful.
Like, do they not die inside when they make these deals? Like, a place's name is important. Like, it just has meaning, and they're like, yeah, no, we'll call it the Advent Security System Center. Like,
oh yeah, Vivid.
Like, do they not die inside when they like? Do they not stop and be like, we can't tarnish the name of an institution in this way? Like,
I know.
Those people are truly going to hell. Like, they don't have souls. Like, I'm sorry to be so mean, but like how can you live with yourself doing, like, is a history book going to get opened up and be like, yes, the great baseball player played at, Sanford Stock Holdings Incorporated Center.
Well, like when they're
like,
called,
it's awful.
Yeah.
It is so horrifying.
When they're called Yankee Stadium, or they're called Comiskey Park, or they're called Candlestick Park, like, those names are iconic. They never change. They'll be there forever. But anything that's newer than that or has too much corporate control, oh my gosh, this baseball getting hit made me jump in my chair. That freaked me out. You ever do that where it goes through the bat and comes at the camera? That's seriously, I almost fell over. It was so bad.
Yeah, sometimes you get that little like jolt.
Yeah, but then when they just like, oh, the Capital One Stadium, it's like, we're just in a new era for that, and it sucks. I don't like it.
I just don't know how people can live with themselves. I just don't know how you can sleep and be like, I'm doing great in life. I renamed an institution to something stupid, and we're making our company money from it. It's worse than Bitcoin, honestly.
Yeah, well, that's right. Also, Comiskey is now Guaranteed Rate Field. That's so
like, what are you doing? Like, the people making this deal, if one of you are listening, like, what are you doing in the world? Like, how did you allow this to come to pass and you feel okay about it? Like,
it's bad.
There's something wrong. There's something wrong.
I'm going to look at the current names.
The other thing that makes me so sad is that, and I don't know if this is true, because again, been a while since I've been interested in baseball, but I was looking, because I picked our stadium because I think the stadium here in Arizona is actually pretty cool. But I think I found out through this video game that they took the pool out of the stadium, which really made me sad to learn. I was like, they got rid of the pool. So it's either they didn't put the pool in the game, which I don't blame them. It's not like there's a lot of baseball stadiums with pools, or they've dropped the pool from the Arizona stadium altogether, which then I'm just sad because it was a fun, dumb thing. It's like Bob. Again, Bob stood for Bank One Ballpark. It's not like it was a great name before, but we abbreviated it, and it was fun.
You had fun with it.
We had a fun thing, and we had a pool in it, and now it's just a boring thing, and there's no pool. And
well, so just for fun, here's some others you're going to hate. The Miami Marlins now play in the Lone Depot Park. That's fun.
What?
The Houston Astros now play in the Minute Maid Park, like the drink,
Oh my
Okay.
god! Well, I've got one too because I just looked up. We used to have for the Senators. They played in the Palladium.
Yeah,
Awesome name, right?
cool name.
Then it's now currently the Canadian Tire Center. It sounds like a place you go to put your winter tires on. What's wrong with you? It's so bad.
It's not just you. It's not just.
And it
the
was
US.
the Scotiabank place before that, and the Corel Center. Remember Corel Draw? Corel actually. I think
what they
had
were
their name
Canadian.
up there.
Corel was big. Well, they got sold.
Yeah.
It's a long story.
But anyways, like yes, you can continue on your list. But Canadian Tire Center. is
That's
the
pretty good. You may have just won
worst.
the whole contest there with that. Petco Park is a dumb one.
Do I take my pet there?
Yeah. T-Mobile Park. Let's see.
T-Mobile Park.
Tropicana Field. Oh Lord.
Propaganda Field.
No,
What?
Tropicana.
Oh.
The propaganda.
Propaganda. That would actually be a good name because it'd be very memorable.
Yeah.
It's named after a guy, Mr. Propaganda, not actual
But
propaganda.
every billionaire with a tiny penis wants a field named after them, and I just hope we.
I think after, pre-election and all of that, I'm waiting for the Four Seasons landscaping field. That's what
Four
I'm
Seasons
waiting for.
landscaping of the home of the St. Louis Cardinals. Let's make it happen. It doesn't have to be St. Louis; it can be whoever. But
Jeez, it's so bad. Like, and one company does it, so they all do it.
some people
You're
like
all to blame.
Like Coors Field and Busch Stadium, people think of those fondly because they've been there for a really long time. And yes, they're corporate, but beer is a thing that's baseball connected. And I get it, like why that works. It's just
I'm
when
not
you change it.
adverse to it in all cases. If there's like a history or connection there, like fair enough. But when you know it was sold for the express purpose for advertising, especially when it sounds horrific,
Yeah.
like what? There's a FedEx field apparently. Like no, there's not.
There used to
That's
be.
dumb.
There used to be.
No,
Is
I'm
there
just
one
saying
now?
there shouldn't be. It's a travesty that we allow this to happen. It should be illegal.
Oh,
It
here it
should
is.
be
But
in
it-
thing
so
the
is, like-
Senate's making laws saying you cannot do this to where. What if your White House was now called the Canadian Tire House? Like, what if they did it with the White House?
yeah.
It would be awful.
It's the-
No one wants
you're
that.
basically describing the plot to what was that?
Idiocracy.
Idiocracy, yeah.
It'll be the Red Bull's house.
Yeah, the Red Bull house. Where you hear your family. No, that's the Olive Garden field. So ours is I had
Instead
it
of
wrong.
the Pentagon, it's the Canadian Tire Gone or something.
I had it wrong. It used to be called so when most of my growing up it was the Delta Center. And we were fine with that. Then they changed
it's okay
it.
once in a while. If they started it, if they're the ones that opened the place in the first place,
Sure,
like,
then it
maybe,
makes sense. Yeah, then it makes
Yeah.
sense. We were fine with it. But then Vivint bought it, and someone else had it in between, and I forgot who it was. But Vivint now owns it. It's now called Vivint Smart Home Arena. It makes me want to fart blood. I hate it so much. Ugh, I
It's
hate
so
it.
ridiculous. Nobody liked that. When what's that meme from? Nobody liked that. Like nobody liked that.
Nobody
From, like
ain't got good. No, how's that mean?
it's like Fallout or something like that. I don't know. Or
I don't remember.
Telltale Games. Like nobody liked that.
I remember. that.
Anyways,
Um,
nobody
all
likes this.
So that's what I played. Oh no, John, we're still talking about you. MLB.
Yeah.
So there you go. John's foray into baseball. Good thing it's on Game Pass. I mean, truth is, it's not a game I'd buy either
Yeah.
because it's not really my jam. But it's on there. So.
I will probably try to play a little bit more. I think I'm going to make it as arcadey as possible because I think ultimately that's what I want.
Right.
Is I just want to swing the bat and hope good things happen, and
Same.
take care of as much of it as you can, game, because I'm not good at it.
I will say the crowds look better than they've looked in recent years.
Which is ironic,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic. But in the past, video game crowds in poor sports games have been atrocious. And they're finally getting to a place where it's not just like 2D bitmaps back there that are like 3 frames of animation each or whatever. Like they're individual people.
Fully
in the
rendered
crowds.
and voiced by Liam O'Brien.
Yeah, all the Patrick Stewart in the audience. That was quite a fly ball.
My MLB game has Patrick Stewart in it.
Yeah, and the other thing is this is the only MLB game. It's a lot like Madden. They kind of cornered the market on it because, licensing is whatever it is. But broader audience, whatever. If you're a baseball fan, this is all good news. You also played a bunch of Final Fantasy 14. We don't really need to talk about that at all.
No, we do. I
Oh.
think just to make sure that it gets even keel with other games on this show, proper representation. Because, I just want to say, I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV. People spoke very highly of Heaven's Ward, and I've made my way through most of that expansion story content now at this point. I saw credits, but I haven't moved on to the next expansion yet. So it's really good. I want to say that game has a crazy final boss fight that's just insane. You go up against a god king, and you're surrounded by a bunch of knights while you do it. And it's in space for a little while, and then it's not in space anymore. And
This isn't the one that is this the video you put in our Slack earlier? Is that the fight?
it is.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's that fight.
All right. It looks like I don't know. It looks like a. It looked like somebody in China said, "You know what we ought to make? We ought to make the Lich King fight, but let's do it like we would a free mobile game. Let's make it look like that."
You know what, Scott? It's like Japan because it's a Japanese game. It's like a bunch of Japanese developers said, "Let's do a Lich King fight," and they made a cooler fight than the Lich King fight, and that's exactly what it is. At no point in the Lich King fight were you in outer space.
That's true, and I will actually say without any irony, and I actually mean this, that looked pretty rad. All of their stuff, like dungeon bosses, there's a lot of flair around the edges, I think, that really help it. They don't just clump over and die, and they also don't just launch into a rendered cutscene. It's this very cool in-game moment, and it's a cutscene of sorts, but I like how they do that in that game. Like, legit, it's very good.
Yeah. So it's been really, really neat. I loved that. I mean, the thing that's crazy, and the thing that I really wish WoW would take from Final Fantasy in this regard, like, because it's what I kept thinking through this entire thing, because it's hard not to compare and contrast, is the 3.0 experience, which is what I guess Heaven's Ward is considered to be. Just 3.0 feels like a complete story. There's hanging threads for sure. Like there's cliffhangers that it ends on and stuff like that. But that game was like, hey, you're going here to deal with this. This is the thing that's going on. And it feels like it told that story completely. And now there is more stuff to do to go see and experience and all that. But I feel like I got told an awesome, epic, and like complete story arc in that, without having the like, well, I guess you're going to have to play the game for the next 2 years if you want to find out how this quarter of a story we've told so far is going to wrap up. Like they just narratively packed it all in a way that is very satisfying, as opposed to this like, we're gonna tell one boring ass story over the course of 2 years. Because that's what I thought when I was going into Shadowlands. I was like, I love the ideas, I love the cool stuff that's going on here. Is it gonna take me 2 years to find out what's going on with Anduin?
Turns out yes is the answer.
Yeah, like that's the answer, is yes. We're gonna be spending like a year rescuing these people from this place, and that's all it is. And I kind of feel like in just their first content drop of the story, they told more than what Shadowlands has in their first bit. And I would love to see WoW maybe jump on the telling more story with what they have bandwagon.
Yeah, I do like that about the game.
More story related to the marketing, like, because there's story in it. It's just, you get trapped in these really side things that you see Anduin twice or whatever. I mean, it was like that in the little bit I played. Not the little bit I played. Which one was the island one? The Dragon Island one again? Legion, right? Yeah. Legion had on the Alliance side had this whole Gangrene following Sylvanas thing, and there's maybe like 2 scenes of it. Like like it was, you had to finish a whole zone, then you got a little drip feed, and I was like, like you got really sidetracked. So you're saying like the story's a lot of meaty main stuff in Final Fantasy?
Yeah, it feels like it paid off. And again, like I said, it's not to say that the story's done and everything's wrapped up, like, but you went there to investigate a thing. You got the answer. That led you to this, that led you to this, that led to a final encounter with a boss. Like essentially, if you picture Lich King, like you went to Northrend, you dealt with all the forces of the Lich King. Then you went and you fought and you killed the Lich King. But then maybe after the Lich King died, something happened, and you're like, oh well, that's going to be something we're going to have to address. And they were like, oh, here's this Ulduar place if you want to go there. Like all that stuff feels like side content or patch content. But the story that they told you to get invested in is what they told you when you first went in.
Right.
And I really appreciate the focus on that. So there's really, really cool stuff in that game. And everybody I've talked to who plays Final Fantasy, they say like that first expansion is way better, and each expansion just keeps getting better on top of it. So I'm definitely going to stick with it. The way that game does flying is super cool. That was another thing that was a pleasant surprise, because that game does allow flying in it, but they do it very differently than how WoW does it. And yeah, it's a shockingly refreshing MMO experience to be playing.
Well, you may or may not know this, but while you've described all of this, I have been trolling by playing a cinematic trailer for the Elder Scrolls upcoming expansion. So that was a lot of fun to do that. Okay, moving on. Bo. Oh, Tailspire. Yeah. Oh, we got to talk about this. Okay, so there's this $24 thing on Steam that is apparently not really a game as much as it's
a virtual tabletop.
A virtual tabletop, and it's insane for like D&D stuff. So one of us, I guess, got it. John got it. John, how is Tailspire, and do you foresee that we will all be using this one day for our campaigns?
Maybe. I want to be clear. I very briefly toyed around with it. Like we're talking maybe 15 minutes, if that. But I just wanted to see how it works, and it definitely seems like it's early, and like there's some stuff that needs to be figured out. Like there's it kind of, the base window looks like it has a game window where it's got gameplay, but it's got a lot of tools and menus on the outside, and it has a little bit of difficulty tracking whether or not you want to be placing things in the game window versus whether you want to be clicking the UI elements.
Right.
So there were cases where I would try to click something on the UI and I would place something down on the ground and go, crap, undo. But, that works really well. There's a lot of shortcuts. You can just, I made a mistake, Control Z. It seems like it's going to be really cool as long as they continue to focus on it and, really update it and keep it going. It definitely needs some better like on-screen tooltips or tutorials. I spent a long time trying to figure out just how to rotate something because it didn't display that on screen. So it was like, hey, do you want to put a corner of a tavern down? I was like, yes. I put the first corner down. I was like, great. Now I need that corner facing a different direction. I was like holding the right mouse button and that drug the mat to the side, and then left mouse button just placed more corners in that same shape. And I was like, what am I supposed to do? And finally, just by pressing buttons, I figured out if you press in middle mouse button, it rotates the shape. I don't even know if that's the best way to do it, but these are the things I'm figuring out on my own as opposed to having a tooltip or something helping me with. So it needs some work, but it looks very cool. It seems like it's very easy to just drop stuff in. I think one thing that I hope for is that they make it a little quicker. Like right now it feels like, and it could just be that I'm so new with it, but it feels like to drop something in takes a little bit too long to really where a DM could do some on the fly stuff.
Yeah.
But if it's a case of you have it pre-built and you have it ready to go, I think it's a really cool looking tool for, it's just like people who invest in the little 3D models for their gaming tables, except it's virtual. So I'm excited to do more, and I would love to see, a game played in it. I think that would be really fun to get to do. So
nice.
Hopefully we get that opportunity at some point.
Yeah, I want to mess with it. I do wish, there was a way to just have like one master copy and then a bunch of client stuff, so everybody doesn't have to own it to make it work. But it's also only $24. Yeah. It's not that bad, but still.
This is like a buy it. Each one has to buy it kind of deal. But
yeah, it just would be cool because if you're going to have guest stars in or something, or guess on your campaign if you could just have a number of slots that could be, I don't know how you'd do it.
It would definitely make it easier, but with the high fidelity, I imagine,
Yeah. Seems
it's
cool
not
though.
going to be the case. I actually picked that up too. I just haven't tried it yet.
Oh, really? Okay. I'd love to hear what you have to think as well.
I meant to get to it. I just I didn't. It's because it's not like it's a game, so I wasn't like I'll check it out soon. I've known about it for quite a while, so but it looks pretty. So.
How's Hearthstone treating you, Bo? Been playing?
Same old. It's a time filler.
Yeah.
I know we do our gaming stuff, and my contributions have been less than exciting, but part of the reason for the Xbox purchase is like I'm still like sort of trying to get my doctor to like look at it more, but I think I just have like inflammation in my ribs. Like I have like a recurring chronic chest pain, and it can make like it difficult to sit and play keyboard and mouse games for long periods.
Sure.
And
get you on the couch and chilling. It might be easy.
That's why the Hearthstone. Really, it's like I would like to be playing Outriders and a lot of other things, but I find it ends up being painful. I'm getting old, it hurts to play the game.
Yeah.
So, but when I lie down, I definitely feel like less of the pain. So, part of the Xbox therapy is just if I'm gonna play something, I can lie down and enjoy it and not feel the symptoms so bad. So it's kind of on and off, and just because of that, you get kind of sucked into a game's ecosystem. So now I'm watching the professional play, and I'm learning what all the decks are, and I'm getting all schooled up on how to play ranked. So it's a good game to kill an hour or two here and there, and it's just been filling the time.
Sure.
It's also like I don't know, I've just been kind of getting into it more. Maybe it's the Baron's theme or something like that. And there's a new Mercenaries mode coming up soon, but it's pretty good. It's a pretty good card game. Yeah. I really don't feel like I could play Magic, and I know it's like the better game, even in my opinion, but at the same time, I don't want to invest that much.
Mm-hmm.
That hard. Like you really, you have to have 4 copies of shit. You probably have to spend way more money than you would on Hearthstone to be up on any of the online versions of Magic. So it's kind of this nice sweet spot right now.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
But no, I'll probably get my Xbox and play a bunch of Xbox games, and next week I do want to try out Star Renegades. That's kind of high on my list.
Oh, Star Renegades is cool. That's a cool game.
Yeah, so there's a lot of interesting stuff that it just requires an install and fiddling that I haven't gotten to on the PC stuff. So I'm really looking forward to cracking open the Xbox.
Yeah, you'll love. I think you're gonna
try
love
and
that thing.
shit.
I have really enjoyed mine, so I think you just have this unlimited pile of games that you can play. And like I need to get in there and sit on my butt and play through the rest of Dishonored 2, which I love, and I started again on there, and then I just haven't had time. But so many good games right now. Bethesda
the one sad part
good.
about Xbox is Genshin Impact's not on there.
Yeah, that's true. It's not.
I don't know why. I don't actually play Genshin Impact, but I kind of logged in the other day and I was like, oh, there's a new hero release, Rosetta, the Battle Nun or something. Let me get some wishes to see if I can't get them. And, you do some wishes and you're like, oh, I got the new character. Anyways, log out.
Everybody wants Rosetta the Battle Nun. I mean, how can
but they're adding some player housing shit. Like that game is kind of in early access in a way, which is surprising because it looks like a full game, but they're either working people to the grindstone on it, and that's just kind of how that game's going to be. But
yeah,
I think it's a pretty game that I want to play, but don't actually play. I think we talked about that last week, but
I'll tell you
into that game.
What I'm excited about. Maybe next week we'll make it a small subject for Bo to rant on. But the word is there's a new kind of cryptocurrency coming that will do to SSDs and hard drives in general, not just SSDs, what Bitcoin did to video cards. And you'll love that. You'll love the idea that we're about to have a shortage on drives. They're all going to skyrocket in price. It's going to get bad.
No. And like this bullshit, we didn't talk about it on the show, we meant to, but that horse racing game where you can NFT a horse for horse racing and then breed them and they're all unique and stuff. Like climate change is coming, you guys.
Yeah.
Like I hear how we're using our
here.
energy and I'm like, this is not a good use of anyone's energy on all this shit. So what's the new cryptocurrency called? Like Sucky coin?
I mean, I forgot. It was some Clea coin or something. There's tons of these names, right? Like Dogecoin's way up today. Like there's all sorts of stuff. But you're right. No, dude, climate change is here, and we're dogpiling on it. So well done.
Yeah, we're just like we're doubling down every chance we get on like crypto, NFT art, all that kind of business. Like, guys, it takes computer resources to do this stuff, and then we got to maintain these ecosystems, and everyone wants their own ecosystem. So you have 500 ecosystems.
I try. I was a little NFT curious in the beginning, and now I actively am repulsed by it. I can't.
All we really wanted the internet for was to play video games on. Like
that's all it was for.
Like honestly, like guys, like that's all I was, all of us, I can speak for all of us here. We're all way ahead of all the people using internet nowadays, not to be like the, gatekeeper type, but that's all we wanted to do with computers was to play cool video games and just chat. Like all this other stuff is like getting out of hand, man. It's like the same people who think it's okay to call something a Canadian Tire Center have their hands on the internet. So like
those people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna those people them. I would never do that to the name of something. Call it the Bo Schwartz Center. Well, no, that's cool. Yeah. I mean, the Bo Schwartz Incorporated Center. I would not do that.
Yeah,
but you can name a building after me. That's fine.
The other hard part is all of this stuff is tricky to quantify, and you can make all kinds of weird arguments that all of this is fine because it's really hard to show people the actual impact. There's so many layers removed. It's kind of like, I ate some chicken today. I didn't have to go raise that chicken, feed that chicken for a year, chop that chicken's head off, de-feather that chicken, prepare that chicken, hope it doesn't have botulism, and then eat that chicken. That doesn't exist anymore. And I feel like NFTs, crypto, all this stuff is like that chicken. Nobody thinks about everything in between you and your little coin and your fake coin. Like, it's just weird. It's so weird. We're in a weird time, everybody. So eat your chicken is what I'm saying. All right, let's move on. We got a quick email.
Chicken NFTs.
Chicken NFTs, the hot new thing.
That's a good question.
Coming soon. All right, the good question is this email sent to talktothecore@gmail.com. This comes from Nightblind in the chat. I don't know if they're there today. Maybe. Scott, you had mentioned in the last episode that you downloaded AQ3D on mobile. First off, that's super cool. I have loved AW since it was released, or since it was I was at least 7 playing on AOL dial-up. Apparently this AQ game, Action Quest, or whatever the hell it's short for, is a long tail. This thing's been around forever. It says there's a 2D version of Adventure Quest that plays on Flash, I believe. I'm legally blind now, so I can't play games anymore, but I remember AQ being one of the best games I'd ever played. I recommend trying the 2D game out at least once. If you like the idea of the developer, or if you like the idea of a developer who is not afraid to quote or rip off everything that has ever existed in video games, as well as has some of the most entertaining art, then Atrix games will be both bad and extremely fun for you. I have a ton of fun games back in the 90s that still run on their website, such as Mech Quest, Adventure Quest, and other games. Or other game glitches with unique and dorky spins. Love the show. And Bo, we miss you on TWBD. Thomas, Nightblind in the chat. Well, Thomas, yeah, that AQ3D thing is weird. It's just a giant, ridiculous ripoff of all the MMO things, and it's really kind of bad, but good in a weird way. And I still sort of throw a little time at it on my phone when I'm just sort of like super bored. It can kind of get me through a few minutes, but it's, I'm not going to devote a lot of time to it. But anyway, thanks for the email. And if you guys ever check that out, you never will, but
what?
You know that video did I show you the guys I made a YouTube video of all the games I'd played during the last month. There was a bunch of ESO, Final Fantasy, other stuff in there, Hitman, whatever. And one of the things I included was a moment from that AQ3D thing. And it was this scene where this giant black knight with all this crazy armor hits the guy so hard, or throws him so hard, that your guy just flies for days. Just flies and flies and flies and goes overhead. Just keeps going overhead in the worst animated way possible. I'll find this and cap it for you guys because it's really special and terrible. It's so bad. So I'll share that with you. It's pretty bad. All right. That's going to do it. If you want to email us, you can. talktothecore@gmail.com. If you have thoughts or feelings about anything we covered today, we'd love that. Join us over at our Patreon and be part of the fastest growing podcast on the Frog Pants Network right now. That's Core. That's right. Patreon.com/Core Show is where you can go to support the show. Big thanks to everybody who already does. It means a lot to us, and we'd love to have more of you. Patreon.com/Core show. And you can find everything else at frogpants.com/core. All right. I think that's it. Things didn't fold up after that core game launched on the Epic Store, so we're still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't let that take us down, did we, John? No, sir, we didn't.
No, we didn't make any money off of it either.
No, we didn't get shit.
Yeah, no offers came in.
No. But we'll see how that goes in the future. Hey, John, any last words of wild, wacky wisdom to share with the audience before we leave?
Yeah, if you're looking for a quality, massively multiplayer online role-playing game experience, you must needs Final Fantasy XIV. It is simply the best.
Wow. Simply the best. Sounds like a thing. I should check it out. Sounds like something I might want to look into. How are the dragons in it? The dragons are cool?
The dragons are amazing. You can identify the dragons based on how they look, because you see, Scott, they didn't just take the same model and make some slight tweaks to it. They actually all have very unique looks and personalities.
Oh, interesting. They're not the same. They're not the same underlying mesh with just a lot of extra shit piled on top of it. On their stubby legs?
Maybe, but honestly, they're so artistically interesting and unique, I couldn't tell.
Oh,
so
weird.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a really pale white one. That's all I've ever seen, and it really put me off. We'll have to.
Well, I have one that I can ride around now as a mount. Do you ride on any of the flying mounts in ESO?
No, because in ESO they decided not to ruin their game with flying mounts, and so.
Oh well, see, I would have thought the same thing because it did kind of ruin WoW, but in Final Fantasy, flying actually works really different and really great.
Yeah.
So all those flying mounts are really good. Maybe one day ESO will catch up and introduce.
Well, you never know, because it feels like ESO is trying to be true to the Elder Scrolls pantheon of games without adding things in there that are too weird for the world. So, I don't remember any flying mounts in Final Fantasy II. But hey, what do I know? Maybe they're.
I 100% agree with you. They are definitely true to that experience by making everything as generic and boilerplate as it can possibly be. When I'm in there, I genuinely feel bored, just like I do when I'm playing an Elder Scrolls game. So
these are a lot of words of wisdom.
That in a bottle perfectly.
This is a lot of words of wisdom.
For the record, John feels this way about all Elder Scrolls games, the entirety of the series. It's got nothing to do.
I do that game. That game series gets by on a lot of stuff. Art style in one of them.
Yeah,
I think
not
that
your favorite
game
thing.
looks pretty generic look.
It
looks ready to be a movie because they don't have to do any elaborate props.
Well, look, if you like cartoony Asian tiny people looking into the sky and going, well, then Final Fantasy is your answer. Get that. If you're looking for dark fantasy that feels like a little bit of D&D, a little bit of, Diablo, a little bit of darkness, a little bit of, rugged on the ground kind of fantasy, give ESO a try. But if you like cartoony guys going, then, man, you are hooked up with that Final Fantasy. And it's not final. They got more to come. It's just going to keep on coming, and you'll never have an end to it. All right. Bo, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, don't name your physical institutions bullshit company names. And get off my lawn!
That's actually really good advice. I'm with you there. All right, we'll take Bo's advice. Take a nice week and enjoy your video games. We'll be back next time with more. We'll see you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.